And for all my African brothers, listen, Kambi Balongo mean river. You ain't catch that, did you, Top?
Wait, say it again in that accent. Go ahead. Say it again in that accent. Let me hear one more time.
That's it. Kambi Balongo mean river. That's Kunta Kinte and Roots.
Right. Hey, you remember that part in there when he told them that they ain't that lady told him, he said he was a Mandingo, and she told him she from America.
I ain't no African.
Yeah.
He was, but remember Fiddler say, now this is a Guinea nigga. He come all the way from Africa. We don't know nothing about no Africa.
Yeah, y'all ain't never seen no Africa. Yeah. I mean, that was a dead giveaway. I mean, I don't see how people didn't catch that. It was right in their face.
That's how they didn't catch it, because it was right in their face.
Turn up. Turn up.
Yeah, they said it's called hidden in plain sight. Everything they did to us, they told us they was either going to do it, they were doing it, or they had just finished doing it. They told us in all three tenses, but they didn't tell us in the way that we would tell each other, because they don't want us to figure it out and put the puzzle together.
Yeah, I was finding a lot of my people didn't fought in the Civil War. I was going through a lot of them records there. A lot of them fought in the Civil War. The Ku Klux Klan hung one of my cousins after the Civil War. They called him a pretty boy. Say he had a bad mouth, and he put a militia together, and the Klan came and hung him. Came to his house and hung him. They was 70 deep on horseback. He was in there. He had one homie with him, and they down both of them.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's how they did it. If they caught a chief that they couldn't do business with and they couldn't control him, the next thing that was murder on the. That's how they was end up establishing their supremacy. We thinking they was lynching people because they color. They was lynching them because of who they was and what they knew.
The land they owned, yeah.
Because they know how to. They know they waking up to their historical self, and so the maintenance of the conjure, they had to kill off all the ones waking up to keep the rest of them asleep.
I wanted to ask y'all, especially because Chief Topcats know a lot of family names. The Roans, the Butlers, the Braxtons. Do you know anything about those last names? The Roans, R-O-A-N-E?
No, I wouldn't say so. I just know the Braxton sisters. I think you say you was kin to them, right?
Yeah, we are. But
that name is French.
Okay. Okay, it was Roans, Butlers. You know any Butlers?
That's English.
Yeah, I went to school with some Butlers. Yeah, I played football with the Butlers.
It's so many. It's so many different last names though, but those are the main ones that I can remember off that Quarles line. But yeah, I always wondered. It's so much I try to learn about them. I need to start learning more so about my father's family side too. They from Georgia. They Reddens. It's weird how what I would like to do is find out prior to the invaders coming on these lands to the tribal nations, what type of, did they even have last names? They didn't, or did they just have whatever your tribe was your name, considered your last name?
My bad, turn on, you got it.
Most of the time back then when we introduce ourselves, let's say for instance, I'm Little River Running, but I'm from the Ojibwa. But it's another guy, Little River Running, and he from the Choctaw. So we would be distinguished by the tribe by having the same designation as a name. In modern times, your tribal name is your nickname, because your nickname is based on a defining characteristic. If you go back to how we name children, we used to have naming ceremonies because we had to determine the character of the child. And then you have some tribes that'll name them at birth, but they name it change. Because they got ceremonies you do, and sometimes the child will tell you who they was in the last life, and that's the name you have to name them. That's how Tupac ended up become Tupac. His mama kept asking him what's his name, and finally he told her.
I often said that when you're a child, you could see you still have some sight from the last life, and then as you grow older, it fades away.
Well, you know, Big Mama and her sister and them, they gonna say that was granddaddy that came back. You know what I'm saying? They gonna, yeah, you 1 year old, 2 years old. They say, yeah, just like granddaddy. That granddaddy Jack coming back.
Yep. Because that was what they when our women say marking a child, they mean that you giving them the character of another person in the family. So you mark that child to be just like so and so. Right. But that's just saying that when you mark that child, you told so and so to come back through this child. Right. Then they used to sit the babies down in front of 2, 3 big mamas, well, Big Mama and 2 of the aunties that was her support team, and they sit there and watch that child, and they like, you know who that is? That's so and so. Show is because he hold his mouth just like him.
Yeah, he walked just like him. Yeah, my grandma always give me like that. She's like, "Boy, I thought she was my brother walking up." You know, brother passed away a while ago. She always saying that. He walked just like him. I'm looking at you on the camera. I thought that was my brother coming to the door. Yeah, she still do that to this day. And you know, we had names like my kinfolk named Turtle. I got a kinfolk named Frog. I got a kinfolk named Bear. You know what I'm saying? Real name Billy, but we've been calling him Bear since he came out the womb. Bam, bam.
I got a cousin in California named Bear. To this day, I don't know what his English name is. I just know his name Bear.
We call those pet names.
Those are tribal designation names.
And one of the ways that we know that is because in boarding school that the Native Americans go to, they assign them a name at school, and they call it a tribal name. But we get ours from the house.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Tomcats.
Real quick, y'all.
I had Rah Rah, Boo Boo, Bina.
That's a fact. That is a fact. I had a question about, and this is my last question because I know it's getting late. We've been on here for a while. But I had a question about, like, my last question, I promise, right? About land, because that's so important. So like, all right, so at the beginning of the 20th century, like the early 1900s, right? Records show that, you know, we owned over 14 million acres of land in totality, right? That's a lot of land to have, right? And we know that eventually things like that was lost, whether it was through eminent domain, USDA lending policies, forced sales, right? Through co-owned land called heirs property, because you can, you know, a lot of people who are descendants and didn't even know that they are heirs to that property, right? And then they sell it, not knowing it. And you hear so many people say, "Oh, my family owned land here in so and so or so and so, whatever." I know now, and don't quote me, I could be wrong, y'all can correct me, right? But if I'm not mistaken, there's a few southern states in particular that have passed the Heirs Property Act. I think like North Carolina was one. I think Louisiana.
The Island, South Carolina.
Okay. Perfect. I just wanted you guys to speak, or one of you to speak, just share with the audience the importance of holding on to land, right, and not selling it for $1.15, right? And the importance. Just speak to that about the heirs property and the inheritance and how that looked like.
Well, a lot of those people losing their heirs property, and with the heirs property, it only take one person out the family to sign it. Now, this was a method that they used with the chiefs. I used the Choctaw as an example. When they came in and wanted to negotiate with those different Choctaw towns, they only went to one chief. And even though the others didn't agree until they said, okay, we're going to take your land, and then they'll sign until the Choctaws had no more land. So that was one of the ways. I give another one. When the Creek signed up with the Confederate, the McIntosh, Chili McIntosh, Danny McIntosh, them, they forced the name of the other chiefs on there. So like Opethel La Hoya is one of them that they forced the name. So and they end up raiding their village, and that's how the Creek ended up going up to Kansas, joining USCTs and fighting against the Confederates, actually defeating them, and made the last general of the Confederate surrender, which was Stan Wadey, who was a mixed race Cherokee. But that's, you know, that like even today. So my auntie bought all the land in Louisiana. So the family members still were heirs to it, but she bought it out for them, and she told me, she say, if them Negroes will sell it to me, they'll sell it to them white folk. So she had to go down there and buy all of it. Yeah. And that land been our family out almost 200 years now.
Top Cats, when you said Al Quarrel, you know my cousin Al. Big Al.
Big Al. I grew up with Big Al.
I have a Big Al.
Al Quarles and Rashard Quarles. I grew up with Quarles. They from my hood down here.
Okay.
Yeah, they from my neighborhood. Terrible too. Yeah, you got some bad kinfolk. Yeah, they terrible. Yeah. They act just like me. You hear me? We grew up together.
And me.
Hey, she mentioned eminent domain. The eminent domain is what they use to institute the squatters' right. Right. Then this was part of a military strategy to take the land from the people who it belonged to. They use paperwork to do that. Paperwork can't transfer land in the tribal structure. The land can only be transferred from mother to daughter to granddaughter, or from mother to father to granddaughter. The father is only an interim governor of the land until a daughter is old enough to take on the responsibility of a tribal mother. Then the land transfers according to what the collective tribal mothers had designated for that clan. When they came over here with the eminent domain, that's what they use. When you go listen to Martin Luther King talking about they brought the European peasantry over here and undergirded them with an economic floor, who do you think taught them how to farm the land over here? This is how they
right.
Yeah, so this is how they instituted the sharecropping agreement. Because the sharecropping agreement was designed to lock you into a perpetual debt until you lose your property rights.
Correct.
Right. So a lot of the sharecroppers wouldn't use pale-face money to finance their farms. They go out and go gator hunting and sell gator skins and all kind of stuff before they would even go to the settlers for anything, because they seen the trick. But they children and grandchildren didn't understand why Papa wouldn't take that money, because it looked good in the front, but the back end was the suffrage. That was done under eminent domain, and that's where the squatter rights is part of eminent domain. So now when you see these modern Moors using the squatters' rights, they using the same method that was used against us, but now they go into prison for it.
I'm so glad that y'all mentioned this one thing, and I'm in it.
You better not. Do not start.
No, they did when they said that the land goes to the female, and I'm gonna tell you why it makes me feel good. Because it doesn't. It's not like that in Africa. Everything goes to the man, handed down to the son, and that's the African way.
That's not all of the tribes, though.
All of them, yeah. Some of them are matrilineal.
I never heard of a tribe in Africa that sends the land to the woman. They come, and if the man, even if the man dies, the husband or something, the brothers come and take the land from her.
Right. And he'll take his slip off and beat her with it.
What?
Well, they don't take the land from her. The brothers are supposed to take her, the kids.
Yeah, he gonna marry them.
But from there to here. You understand how I'm saying it?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And it's a big difference.
Yeah. They some of the tribes over there are matriarchal. A lot of tribes are, but they will be suppressed in all forms of media in order to suppress the mother's authority in the family. If you go back to Shaka, his mama made him the king while his daddy was still living.
I'm trying to remember that story, and I don't remember that.
She the one told him. She told him when he was a little boy he was gonna grow up to be the king of the Zulu and unite all of the Zulu nations under one chief.
Yeah, but she knew who his daddy was. His daddy was already the king, and his father was the king before him.
But you got to remember, she was his concubine. She wasn't his senior wife. Therefore, the only way she could appoint Shaka to be the king is she had to have a higher rank in the bloodlines than Shaka's father.
Well, the way they made the story, remember the witches came, and when she got pregnant, they had already gave him the ability to be that he was going to be the king. I love that story. I looked at that so much.
And if you remember our culture, you know when them big mamas come and say the baby that's coming gonna be the chief.
Yes,
that sucker gonna be the chief whether he want to or not.
Yeah, that was amazing. I love that story. Shaka. I love that story. But I'm just saying, when y'all say that about the lands being handed down, everything is pertaining to mama over here. I mean, seriously, do you really think that if we were African, it would be that way? I just don't think so. I've never even heard of over in Africa, things are handed down to the woman. I've never heard of it. And from my understanding, they just don't have no respect.
I'm gonna send you some reference material.
Please do. You ever heard of it, Chief Top Cats?
Man, I'm sorry. I was pulling something up. I didn't hear what you said.
Did you ever heard of that?
What was that? I'm sorry. I was pulling something
up. Okay, what I was trying to say was I was appreciating the fact that you and Chief Rock Hayes had brung up, Chief Pontiac had brung up that the lands are passed down to the females in the Indian tribal ways. But in Africa, everything is handed to the man.
Yeah, they male dominated. We you know, that's why Big Mama is the cornerstone of the family. Big Daddy, how great as he was, you know, that's why he can go have a family on the other side of town or around the corner. Nah, but
I ain't never heard over in Africa they handed anything down to some woman. They always handed to the first son. I mean, the first son is so that even the mama's alive and that was her husband. The first son say, this my land, this my dad's land, this my father's, this my father that. Even while the mom's living.
It go back to who controlling our narratives that we getting about the motherland, because a lot of the tribes push the women back for the men to step out front and fight the wars that was being thrust up on the people. So it looked like the men was dominating, but it don't matter. Go to the woman king, even though she wasn't the ruler, he respected her opinion more than he did his wife, because he understood that certain women have certain gifts from the spirit that you can't deny in the flesh.
I believe that, but I'm just saying.
Well, I say this here too, though, Sister Freedom. A lot of those African tribes get that through Islam, because West Africa was predominantly Islamic. So that had a lot to play with it. That had a lot to play in it as
well. Yeah, a lot of them was converted before we ever got information about them. We looking at post-Islamic invasion, and all of that is when they started pushing the women back for their protection. But Africa used to be a matriarchal land, just like the Americas, before they started getting invaded by these warring factions from outside.
Right.
The tribes,
these different religions had a lot to do with that change. So the Moors went into West Africa and they took Islam in there. They left the Iberian Peninsula. And yeah, the Moors left, and
the black ones or the white, or those
the black Moors. That's why the tribes out there are Islamic. That's why the Portuguese 1452 under the Dum Diversa, they went into Portugal, but that's why the Moors were there. That's why they was writing out the Ajami script, right, which is an Islamic script. And that's when Christianity came in 1841. That's when they ushered in Christianity in the Bible. That's why when they created Liberia, the Americo-Liberians went over. They brought Christianity with them. Daniel Coker brought the AME church with him. And they sent Edward Blythe, and one of the fathers of Pan-African, who grew up in the Jewish church. He went there under the Methodists and created Islam under his party, and they brought the first college to Liberia, which he came down into Tuskegee and